It's time again for hashtag My Money Story with Expresso, where each week we sit down with someone who has made a success in their chosen field to learn more about their relationship with money and, of course, those very important lessons they've learned along the way. So today we are joined by actor Sven Ruygrok, who you may remember notoriously as the ruthless bully Rambo in the Spud series. He's also passionate about youth and does talks at schools for kids to learn about the value of life and the dangers of bullying, which is a nice turn, dude. I'm glad that we brought you back from the dark side. Sven, awesome to have you here. And of course, Grant van Zyl, our master of all money matters, is here as well. I love this, especially, and all young actors, people in the entertainment industry, this is where you can really kind of take notice of what we're going to talk about, because it's a tough landscape out there. But I'm going to ask you, Sven, to take a step back. What is your first memory of money that's really kind of sunk in?
Sure, my first memory of money would most probably be playing Monopoly. Okay, that was probably my first experience of the understanding of money. And I just remember, like, the relationship with the bank and winning seemed to go hand in hand.
That's the property.
Best. Absolutely.
Bang, winning, and buying the property first.
Stay out of jail, man. Stay out of jail.
So yeah, that was my first experience.
I love that, and I think that echoes through a lot of our lives, certainly of my generation, undoubtedly. As an actor, you've got to learn some pretty tough financial lessons along the way. You want it to be all about your craft and honing that, but you've got to also manage a career. What have been some of the toughest lessons you've learned?
I think that is exactly one of the toughest lessons that I have learned, which is the love for the job that you do won't pay your rent. Unfortunately. So as much as I love acting and I wish I could just be in, and doing that, my craft all the time, it doesn't pay rent. So there's always this battle and this fight between the creative and then, like, what's realistic? Sven, really, what is realistic? And I think also just the acknowledgement of fame and fortune. I had a YouTube channel and was doing fairly okay, but I just realized it's not going to make money. You've got to be really consistent. You've got to give your time. You've got to give your energy. And I just didn't have that kind of time to give this YouTube field a chance. And on top of that, people look at me like, oh, you must be rich.
You've made it.
You have made it. And I got to be like honest. I'll be like, guys, no. Like, have you seen my car? Like, if you just knew, like, the state of my room, you would laugh. And that is exactly it. It's like doing this thing that we call acting. It's hard.
Yeah, it's tough, man. You must be rich. Come on, man. You must be, dude. But it doesn't just kind of stem from this field. Every field, you've got to get real. When it comes to money, you've got to get real.
Yeah, I think it's such a sad reality that in South Africa itself, when it comes to the acting field, it's so tough out there. I mean, you up against so many people. And to really make your craft and your passion work for you, you really need to really be creative, and out there. So getting out there to do something completely different and completely new, and that's not really something you're passionate about, it's not always the easiest thing, hey? But it looks like you've done well for yourself. So it's not all doom and gloom, hey?
You've made it, bro. You've been in movies.
Yeah,
I mean, come on, international movie releases. But I think the overriding lesson that I'm learning here is that you can be creative with your money, and it's about kind of rethinking, reevaluating that relationship with money. So I'm hoping you've got some tough questions.
Yeah.
We want to push Grant this morning, and you can, of course, weigh in with your own questions online. But hopefully this is something that you can relate to, especially if you're in the entertainment industry. Stay tuned for our next segment of hashtag My Money Matters. We're going to continue this very interesting discussion with Sven.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Time to continue our hashtag My Money Story with Sven Ruygrok, who's got the coolest name, Viking sounding name.
I dig that name. It's so proper.
Really. But you have proven your worth as an actor. You've had some incredible roles, and it sounds like you're really proving yourself as a man, and not only with the kind of social responsibility work that you do at schools, talking about shaping young people's lives, but now you've got to kind of turn that inward and focus on your own life and your own financial pressures, which we know are many as an actor. There's the old cliche, you're a starving actor. At least you're wearing socks, dude. So, but I would imagine there are some big questions at your age. You're still a young guy, kind of finding your feet in the industry. Do you have questions now? What are your biggest financial issues that you now can plug into this tome of all things financial? What would you like to connect with Grant over?
Awesome. Grant.
Yes.
Over to you.
There we go.
So I suppose my question is this. My question is, I don't have a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So I don't have a steady flow of income. My income comes sporadically and different amounts and all over the place.
Yeah.
So my biggest question is, like, if I'm looking to buy into property or I want to get a bond,
Yeah.
I have zero credit. I don't have a credit card. I don't have like any account of sorts with a clothing store. So how do I go about? Could I even get a bond?
Yeah,
What does he
sure.
need to do?
What do
That's
I
a
need to do?
Brilliant
Yeah, I think
question,
that's
dude.
a fantastic question. So there's this whole myth that credit cards are bad things. They are bad things if you misuse them, so if you don't use them correctly. So the credit card companies are really punting you to use your credits and use the money that you don't own or have so that you pay this hefty interest. I personally use a credit card for everything. But at the end of every single month, whatever I've spent on my credit card, I settle. Because it's interest-free for, depending on which credit card company you have, for 60 days or 90 days or whatever the case. So a very, very important thing for you to do is to possibly get a credit card going. Set a limit that you're comfortable with. So don't go and set a 100,000 Rand limit if you only earn 5,000 Rand a month, because then you're just going to get yourself into trouble. Yeah. But set a limit that you're comfortable with, and then that's going to help you build up that credit rating. So to give you an idea, so when you go do auditions, the first thing they're going to say to you is, where's your portfolio? Like, what's your past work experience? When you go to the bank, the only way they can say to you, what is your past experience, is by looking at this credit rating that they use. So if you've got no credit rating, if you've got no past experience, the chance of them giving you the bond or the job from an acting perspective is highly unlikely, So you really want to build up that sort of credit rating. You're still extremely young, so you've got the time to do that. But the most important thing in all of this is to be responsible, to make sure whatever you spend on the money, on the credit card, that you know that you can afford that, and at the end of the month, you can settle without a hesitation. So I think that's the most important step for you to most probably get going. And then that will help you build the credit rating that you need for the bonds and all that at a later stage.
What sort of credit rating are you going to need to typically apply for a bond?
Well, basically the credit ratings that they use is they're going to look at a negative or a positive. So they're going to say, on your default system or the credit that you have, how many times have you defaulted and how many times have you not defaulted? As soon as I see defaults, then the chances of you getting the amount that you want from a bond perspective is highly unlikely. And also what they do is they then make your interest a lot higher than what they would do to a good... It's quite a messed up system, actually.
Yeah.
So people that can afford the interest, they get the lower interest rates. And people that can't afford it get the higher interest rates because they're perceived as a higher risk, and they're almost wanting to try and push those people away, They don't really want to take on that risk. So, yeah, so you want to make sure, even when with the credit card, that you don't want to start paying off interest, because they're going to start saying, you see this guy spends, he overspends and all that sort of stuff, because when they want to obviously get you to pay off your bond, they don't want you to be overspending. They want to know that, okay, you're going to be able to pay your bond in a monthly time or every single month at the end of the day. Yeah.
I love that, dude. I've stolen a lot of the pearls of wisdom there. Sven, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for being so open and honest. I know a lot of young actors out there are going through exactly what you are going through right now, but I take nothing away from the incredible successes that you have achieved. You have made it, dude. You have made it in a South African context. I think you can be very proud of what you've done.
Yeah,
and I think it's only just the beginning, dude. Only just the beginning.
Yeah.
So thank you, gentlemen. As always, a hugely interesting chat, and hopefully this has kind of had some light bulb moments in your life as well. If you want to go for something like a bond, make sure that you are building a healthy credit profile. Credit cards don't have to be a terrifying, scary thing, but you've got to approach them with absolute control, discipline, and responsibility.
Yeah.